KW6G, KF7TY.
KF7TY, KW6G, you're number one this evening, Tapio, you're number one.
No.
We're running the Drake TR4 CWRIT barefoot with the Shure 444 microphone
I like it.
and the NFET half wave. Let's see. Well, big news here this evening is it might snow, believe it or not, in the Bay Area. Yeah, we're going to have snow down to about 1,000 feet tonight. It's going to be cold. It's already raining a little bit out there. I don't know if it's rained any measurable amount or not yet. It doesn't look like it, but it's coming down light rain, kind of a light freezing rain, really. It just really feels really cold and damp. So we'll see what happens. That's what the weatherman says.
Yeah, they can't.
At any rate, the other big news is we worked 367 contacts in that DX contest over the weekend, and wow, conditions were nothing short of fantastic. They reported the solar flux index being up at 343 on Friday and Saturday, then it dropped to 160 on Sunday.
No more.
But I don't believe that. I think that's got to be some sort of measurement error. You can go up as high as 400, I understand, but I don't think it would drop that quick and rise that quick. So they might have some kind of calibration error or something. They got to figure out what's going on. Anyway, that being said, the conditions on 10 meters were absolutely wonderful. It was wall-to-wall DX from sunrise to sunset. And Europeans were never as loud as I heard them that weekend in any contest I've ever worked. And I worked some sideband DX over Europe on Monday and Tuesday, so it was a lot of fun. Conditions are great, so you might want to give it a try if you haven't already. Anyway, that's the only ham radio news I have this week. For the net, back to you, KF7TY, KW6G. Anyone else around, by the way?
Whiskey 6 Radio X-Ray Kilo.
W6RXK. Go ahead.
Yeah, Charles, Steve here. W6RXK, and boy, you got some good contacts in for sure. I don't think conditions have been so good in the last 7 years that they've been here in the last couple days for sure. So it's been real nice. Real nice. In fact, I just made a contact to the boat anchor net back in Indiana, somewhere there, and it's on 40 meters. And I didn't think I'd hear them tonight, but by golly, they came in and got a copy on me anyway. So anyway, okay, we'll see if I'll turn it back to you and see if we got anybody else. Good to hear you, Tapio. 5-9 over here to San Andres, Tapio. So good signal from Ellingsburg, Washington. And I think we beat you there, Charles. We already got snow up here in San Andres. Back to you, KW6G, W6RXK.
W6RXK, KW6G. You're 10 over here this evening on the Drake TR4 CWRIT. Yeah, well, I'm not a contest. Our elevation here is about 90 feet, so that explains why you don't have snow. We were supposed to get snow on Mount Diablo down to 1,000 feet tonight. And Mount Diablo is 4,000 feet tall, so there's going to be a big lump of white in the distance in the morning, that's for sure. Anyways, any precipitation we can get, fine. Gotta fight those drought conditions. Yeah, and find business on your band conditions there with your boat anchor net. I've been running Drake, not the Drake net, but I've been running a logbook submitting a logbook into the league on the ARRL DXCW test for the past 22 years, every year. And I beat my best score, which was in 2015 last weekend, 187,000 points. So before my previous high was 166. That's not a lot. The station is not a real high score by any standards, but it just shows you how much the band has come back. And I can never remember working that many Europeans where I'd have to pull anybody out of the mud. And all I'm running here is an NFET half wave and a butternut vertical. And I was working DX with both of those antennas. And after the contest, I was working some sideband Europeans on Monday and Tuesday up on 10 meters. So yeah, conditions are fabulous. Anyway. anyway, break with you there. Let's see if there's anyone else who wants to check into the Drake West Coast Net. This is KW6G. Come now, please.
You have to ship it down there, Sal?
Yeah, I paid for the shipping.
Anyone else who wants to check into the Drake West Coast Net? This is KW6G. I guess not. I'll pass it over to Tapio. KF7TY, KW6G. Go ahead.
Yeah, real fine, Charles. You bet. KW6G here in the Collins Group, along with Steve. Fantastic signal up here, Steve. W6RXK. And, I've been following you guys in the weather and stuff like that. Of course, the whole West Coast is getting nailed everywhere. And I know my old hometown of Astoria, Oregon, they got snow, and that's kind of unusual for them to get snow there on the mouth of the Columbia River. We got snow here the other night, and the Arctic front is here, and it's cold. It was 3 degrees today at work. It's 17 right now here in town. Last night we got down to 12, and tonight we might get down to 6 or 7. So, but it won't last long, only a few days, and then it start warming up this weekend. As for the DX, yeah, it's been fantastic. And it's going to be fantastic for the next 2, 3, 4 years. Really, we're on the upswing. Couple more years till the peak. So, now's the time to work the DX and contests and all those things. I've got, I don't know, where am I at? About 250 countries confirmed. So I'll keep working them and work some of the contests and stuff like that. They're a lot of fun. I really enjoy that. I did not pick up 3 Yankee 03 Beauvais Island. I did not pick them up. I only do CW and single sideband. I don't do any of the digital modes like FT8 or anything like that. So I tried to work them, but they just weren't around, or my work schedule didn't work, and they had a tough go down there. Good effort, though. But anyway, on the Drake equipment tonight, the TR4CW, the L4B running a full 1,000 watts out, and the microphone this evening is a Shure 444 Delta, and up to a wire antenna. So on a cold evening, I'm going to send it back to Net Control, see if he can pick up a few other people. KW6G, KF7TY.
KF7TY, KW6G. You're running almost the same identical gear I am, except I don't have the linear. We're running the TR4CW, but the RIT version, which is a little later version because we haven't added RIT. And I got a Shure 444 microphone, so sounds good, Tapio. Yeah, I know, Sri, it's going to be interesting, this solar flux index and solar cycle discussion. That's going to eventually get to be pretty interesting, because all the experts were but predicting this solar cycle would be really poor. Worse than the previous solar cycle, and now the solar cycle looks like it's got a lot of legs, and it may go up as be as high or better than cycle 19 from the late 50s. That's what some people are saying, and it's all consistent with this new theory of how long the solar cycle really is, whether it's 11 years or 66 years, or I've heard all kinds of estimates. And there's this thing about the plasma and how fast it crosses the equator of the sun after a certain peak, and you can predict how strong the next solar cycle will be based on that thing. And it's real highly scientific stuff, and I don't really pretend to even begin to understand it. But the new theories are looking better than the existing theories, I guess. Anyway. Well, let's see if anyone else is here. This is KW6G. Anyone else wants to check into the Drake West Coast Net? Come now, please. I'm not hearing anyone. What about you, Steve? W6RXK, KW6G. How you doing?
Yeah, Roger. Very good there, Charles, and Tapio too. Yeah, I guess everybody is kind of staying indoors because of the weather. They don't want to get out and in their shack and warm their gear up and get them warm for sure. Anyway, yeah, we got I got my fire going in the stove full blast here, and we've had let's see, we've had rain, we've had hail, and we've had snow. So we've had all three, and we got the snow sticking on the ground a little bit, but we're at 1,000 feet here, Charles. So we're probably going to get some tonight, and which is fine. It never really stays very long, but that's all right for sure. Just enjoy it while we can. So we'll see what happens of it. Anyway, running the TR4C tonight, and I do have my L4B on. I was just looking at my L7 up here. I've got to get my Drake TR7A station going. I just haven't had time to get behind it and make sure everything's hooked up right. And I've just been doing too many other projects. I've had my kids move back into town, so I've had to concentrate on all their projects, and consequently none of mine get done, and I don't have any time to spend. Currently working on a rototiller, trying to get a rototiller back in shape so that these kids can put in a garden. I've got my son and two daughters, and they each have their own families, and they each want to put in a garden this summer. So I had to pull out the rototiller, and of course, you know, it's problem after problem. My last problem here is a rusted intake valve. So it's got penetrating oil sitting on the intake valve, hoping that it's going to do some good. So I'm going to have to get out a block of wood and my hammer and start banging on it to see if I can get that intake valve to move. But anyway, yeah, I got the, I haven't spent much time out in the ham shack. I planned to do that last weekend, but again, the family had other plans for me. So that's a little bit more important. So missed all the good DX contacts, but I certainly did hear about them, and you certainly made out pretty good there, Charles. I'm just wondering if you used the TR4CW RIT to make those contacts, or what rig you were using. Anyway, okay, well, we'll give it back to you and see if anybody else is going to check in. KW6G, W6RXK.
W6RXK, KW6G. Well, I use my regular rig, my ICOM IC7610. Too much fiddling with the knobs on this TR4CW to make it competitive in the contest anymore. Every time you change bands, you got to retune the darn thing. So I opted for the 7610. It's a nice rig. It's got a pan adapter scope in it and everything, and so it's really sweet when you're working a contest. You can see where the signals are, all that good sort of stuff. And yeah, I mean, the DX is unbelievable. And like I said, we had a load of fun, 367 contacts, 170 multipliers, and 187K on the score. Not terribly big, but not bad for a guy who's just got a vertical and an infit. So we had a lot of fun. I worked just about everybody I could hear, which is the important thing. And you know, we just search and pounce and casual type of approach. But I like to do that, and it's certainly the best score I've ever had. So I was really pleased with it. And good on your snow, good on your wood stove in the shack. That's the way to do it. Stay warm. That's for sure. Anyways, let's see. Is there anyone else who wants to check into the Drake West Coast net? This is KW6G. Come now, please.
Kilo Alpha 7, Whiskey Ocean Charlie.
Okay. Good evening, Bill. It's 5 and 9. Anyone else? K6LK, why don't you take it, Bill, and then give it over to Tapio when you get done. The K6LK, KW6G.
Okay, KW6G, K6LK. Yeah, I'll keep it short because just thought I'd check in as the Swan junkie, and everybody, I guess, by now knows that. Anyway, we're waiting for the...
That's all to keep you in mind. Remember, I got 3 upstairs. Yeah.
K6LK, is it still there? KW6G.
In the 77, he took over.
The Swan must have flew the coop.
Yeah, I don't know. Somebody blew a fuse. Maybe he lost power. I mean, it's like TGD power.
For 20 years.
Let's go up to Tapio, KS7TY, KW6G. Did you copy Bill there, okay?
Yeah, you bet. I copied Bill, and then he disappeared. There was somebody else in there. Somebody else in there was a loud signal. Go ahead, check in.
Yeah, go ahead, Tapio. I stepped on the mic cord and it disconnected. K6LK.
Oh, yeah, okay, K6LK. I thought there was somebody else in there, too, trying to check in. Is there another one trying to check into the Drake net? Go ahead.
Kilo Alpha 7, Whiskey Ocean Charlie.
Yeah, Whiskey Ocean Charlie. Go ahead, take it, and then send it back up to Charles.
All right, Tapio. Yeah, this is Kilo Alpha 7, Whiskey Ocean Charlie, Bob, up in Langley, Washington, south end of Whidbey. R4C, T4, XC, and homebrew amplifier, which I hope hangs in here. Single 4400. And, well, it's kicking up here pretty good current-wise. Anyway, I'm having trouble with net control. I'm having trouble with Charles. I can hear RXK quite well, and Tapio, I'm hearing you quite well, and I was fiddling around. I didn't get the last guy. I think he said he was running Swan gear, but I missed his call sign, but he was pretty strong. But unfortunately, I am struggling with, I guess it's Charles down there, so if he's hearing me, great, pick it up. Otherwise, one of you guys relay for me. It's KA7WOC, Bob, up in Washington.
KA7WOC, KW6G, you're 5 and 7 here, 5 and 7, Bob, good signal. Probably don't hear me too well because I'm not running any power. I'm only running barefoot about 150 watts, so to an end-fed half-wave pointed east-west. So that might be why you're having problems hearing me. That's just my conjecture. Anyway, welcome, and we'll put you on the list. So anyone else?
Yeah, Whiskey 7 Sierra Juliet, Seattle.
Now, please.
Whiskey 7 Sierra Juliet, Seattle.
Whiskey 7 Sierra Juliet. Let me write that down. This is KW6G. My name is Charles. Charlie Hotel Alpha Romeo Lima Echo Sierra. I'm located in Clayton, California, about 30 miles east of San Francisco. This is the Drake West Coast net. We meet every Thursday evening about 7 o'clock for an hour or so to discuss Drake radio. So we'll discuss anything really. And to be honest with you, don't have to be running Drake here to check into the net. Just have an interest. So why don't you come back and tell us a little bit about yourself. W7SJ, it's KW6G.
What do you think about it there, Mark? All right, Charles. Yeah, the name is Steve. Did you say the net was strictly a Drake radio net?
No, that's just our venue. We're interested in Drake radios. And most of us are running Drake radios. You don't have to be a Drake aficionado to check in. Just want to join in the conversation. That's all we have.
All right, Roger. Yeah, I'm on a Kenwood TS890, and I have a new doublet antenna up 75 feet. It's a 140-foot doublet with a balance line tuner, and I'm just curious of how this thing is getting out. Over.
Well, you're 5'9", 5'9 plus here on a Scotch S meter. What's your name in QTH?
Yeah, the name is Steve, and I'm in Seattle, 30 miles south of Seattle, between Seattle and Tacoma. Over.
Well, you're doing great. You're doing great. Here, let me see if the other folks on the net want to give you a signal for it. Tapio, do you copy over in Ellensburg?
Oh, yeah, you bet. Yeah, Steve, you're booming in. I'm over in Ellensburg. Tapio's the name, so you're booming in. TS890 sounds great there. And the antenna and everything like that. So, no, fantastic signal. Back to you, Charles, KW6G, KF7TY.
Okay, very good, Tapio. What about you, Steve, W6RXK? Do you copy W7SJ?
Yeah, Yeah, got a good copy on Seattle Steve there. His modulation sounds real good. You can tell us what mic you're using with that TS890 there, Steve. And this is Steve, W6RXK, myself, down in San Andreas, California. Kind of northern California up in the Sierra Nevadas. And so we'll call you Seattle Steve. And, of course, we got a good copy there on the Captain Whitby there. We call that, that's Bob over there in KA7WOC. So, anyway, real good, strong copy on Steve down here. Charles, KW6G, W6RXK.
Okay, very good, Steve. What about you, Bill? K6LK, how's your copy on W7SG?
Yeah, everybody's about, KW6G, K6LK. Yeah, everybody's about 20, 30 over. So that's it's good evening here. Even though the snow was covering up the Fallon, I didn't find it tonight. On the Drake interest, Charles, a guy just got one of my Drake 2B receivers, KA6IRL, and hope everything's going well for him. He'll probably check in, but that Drake 2B, that was a nice product they had in those days. I was really amazed at how stable that radio is. I don't know if anybody else here has ever tried it. I don't know if you've ever had one, but I was really impressed with how that set worked for the day it was made. I mean, 1961 was a long time ago, but that was a great platform. I wish they had continued with a transmitter about that size. It would have been sideband. It would have been easy enough to have done with the way that they built the original receiver. But anyway, yeah, the reason why I dropped out was I thought I was stepping on the foot switch, and I stepped on the input to the mic connector, which I'm using a boom mic, so I've got that all wired up to the ICOM 9100. Anyway, back there to you, Charles, and hope everybody's doing well, and all signals are strong tonight, and including Steve's there from San Andreas, and the fellow up in Washington's coming in good too. KW6G, K6LK.
K6LK, KW6G. Yeah, I have a Drake 2C, or pardon me, a Drake 2B receiver with a 2B Q multiplier speaker sitting on the bench right here next to the TR4CWRIT I'm using this evening. Other than my other QTH near Grass Valley, I've got a complete Drake novice station, the 2NT, the 2C receiver, and the 2C Q multiplier speaker, and the noise blanker, and the whole 9 yards. When I was a novice and when I was a general, I used the Drake 2C receiver up there. I just kept it all these years, and I took it out of the box about 5-6 years ago, and I got a 2NT off of eBay and the 2CQ speed matching speaker. That's a really nice novice station. But I agree with you, they should have put a regular transmitter, and they could have made some sales.
Well,
but who knows which way the wind blows? They put out the TR3 came out next. That was the first transceiver they built. So that was the way things were going back in those days. Anyways, it is a rock solid, stable receiver. I bought this one from a gentleman over in Walnut Creek about a few years ago because he was downsizing and he gave me a good deal on it, but I had to recap it, so I recapped it with a hayseed Hamfest kit, and boy, you're right. We put it on frequency, it does move. That's for sure. Anyway, let's go over to Bob, KA7WC, wondering how you're copying the W7SJ, and then we'll get back to Steve so he can get some feedback from his on his TS890 there. Go ahead, Bob. KW6G.
KW6B, KA7WOC, and I am having a hard time with you there. This is Charles. Just about half the, I don't know if it's 4 lamb, 5 lamb, but they're pretty strong. They cover you up. So sorry I can't quite follow everything you're saying there, but anyway, yeah, on Whidbey. In fact, I went to...
I got a hole or two left here.
Oh, we have an old fort on the west side of the island that was to protect Puget Sound. I think it was back in World War I days. I don't think I saw much action, but we have a Navy base up on the north end with the electronic warfare, and they were doing their touch and go practice again today. So that's kind of fun to see those guys out. I've got a friend that's got a beach cabin, and these guys do, I don't know how many touch and goes they do, but they fly right over his cabin.
That'll do, Mark.
And you can almost wave to the guys up there. You feel like you're that close. And of course, you have to plug your ears because it is painful. We've had howlers. I think they call these things growlers, but they are incredibly loud when they fly overhead. But we do have, in the center part of the island, we have a touch and go field. They call it the outline field. But it's, I guess they've got the aircraft carrier, landing painted on the runway there. And the guys come down, touch the tail hook stuff. They come down, touch, and then take off, circle around, and they probably do that for a dozen times or so. And you can watch, and you can see when the tires hit, you get a burst of black smoke, and then you can tell when the guys miss, because they never get more than about 10 feet off the ground, come around and try it again. So that's kind of interesting to watch. Again, K6LK here in Yuma, and of course Steve, he's just down the street from me just about. He's coming in real loud. And this is a different amplifier I'm using tonight. Single 4-400 grounded grid. And I hope I have it set up okay. I'm not looking at a scope right now, so if it sounds bad, someone please let me know. And anyway, I'm going to send it to Tapio because I know he's hearing me, and I'm struggling getting an order here. KA7WOC and over to KF7TY.
Yeah, okay, real fine, KA7WOC. And, you're doing real well there, moving in over here to Ellensburg. We were actually just over on Whidbey Island this last weekend. Our daughter lives up in Oak Harbor, so we were up there for 2 nights visiting her. Came over Saturday and drove back on Monday. But, anyway, the 4-400 amp seems to be working real well. Let's see. I didn't even look what time it is. No, it's 7:25. Yeah, so, let's see. I'm not sure who it goes to. I'm going to send it over to Bill K6LK, and then Bill, I guess he can send it over to Steve, and then up to Charles or something, back up to net control. So, Bill, K6LK, KF7TY. Take it away, sir.
Okay, KF7TY, K6LK returning. Okay, Tapio. Well, things are doing really good here. I played around with the antenna. I thought I could put up a one wavelength 80 meter parallel to a one wavelength 40 meter loop, and that didn't work out too well. Only got 40 and 80 out of it, which imagine that. So I had to go back to the old one, which was a 40 meter triangular loop, one wavelength, with a 126-foot wire coming off one end of it, right at the balance, a 2-to-1 balance. So that worked out real well on all bands, and I'm going to stick with that right now because it's way too cold to go out and work on antennas. With weather like this, I don't think so. So I don't know. I haven't heard K6LGL tonight or N9AMI. I guess they're waiting for the big Saturday Swan net. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, over there to you, Charles, and or wait a minute now. I think it goes to the guy in San Andreas, RXK, I believe. Anyway, go ahead and pick it up, Steve. K6LK.
Swan Junkie, K6LK, Bill. Yeah, you're sounding good here, Bill. You're full quieting for sure. And good job on that antenna you got. I got a inverted V dipole that I've got up here, but it's only about 20, 25 feet up. I should go raise it up. I've got to straighten out the legs to it and do some work. I had a limb come down on one of the legs and finally pulled it out and cut that limb up, so I've got to reattach that one leg a little better. But anyway, we're still doing it here, and that's what counts. Anyway, okay, let's see. Other than that, Swan Gear is working good here. Like I say, I got the TR4C and the D104. I've had this rig for quite a long time, and always like it. One of my favorite rigs. One of these days, I hope to kind of join the big wigs there with the TR4CW RIT. So maybe if I can join that club at some point, but. Anyway, I've got I got to put in more time before I can move on up. Anyway, okay. Yeah, I got the L4B amplifier working too. It's always a workhorse. Never gives me a problem, which is real nice. So I appreciate that. Anyway, okay. Let's see. Back to Charles here, and maybe I don't know where everybody is tonight. Usually we got a pretty big group, but this Thursday night a lot quieter. So it must be the weather keeping everybody indoors. Yes, KW6G, Steve, W6RXK, San Andres.
And 6WYUC. Okay, we got a couple of breakers in it. W6YUC, is that you, George?
Yep, I'm breaking in. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, George. Is there anyone else for the Drake West Coast Net? This is KW6G.
KW6G, I must have done with George. November 6th, Whiskey Hotel Kilo.
Okay, Phil, very good. Dan 6WHK. Anyone else?
Here they go back in the 70s.
Okay, I got W6YUC and N6WHK. I'm going to have you ask you guys to stand by for a minute. I want to go back to W7SJ near Seattle. Steve, we gave you some signal reports. How did you feel about that? W7SJ is KW6G. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. You're the lightest one of the bunch here. You're S9. The noise is really high here. I got somebody on the left of me, somebody on the right, and then somebody right on top of us here. So S9 readable 5 does real good here. The mic, somebody asked about the mic. It is the Heil PR781. And back to the Ellensburg station there. Wow, you are 40 over, old man. I don't know what you're running, but boy, you sound good. I know Ellensburg. I do bird hunting over there at Cooks Canyon. Right up the street, Whidbey Island, you're right. You're not as strong as the Ellensburg station, but Whidbey Island station, I forgot your call as well. A little bit of AC hum on your signal, but nothing objectionable. So there you have it on the signal report. Back to Net Control, Whiskey 7 Sierra Juliet. Steve in Seattle.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. W7SJ, KW6G, your 5.9 plus here. Very nice signal, very nice audio this evening. So your mic in that TS890 is working great good. So like I say, we're here every Thursday evening at 7 o'clock. So feel free to stop by on a regular basis. You got a good signal coming in here. Okay, now I'm going to switch down, going down south here to Lemon Grove and La Mesa, California. So why don't you go ahead, George W6YUC. Good evening, George. 5 and 9. Both you guys are 5 and 9 plus this evening. So go ahead, George. Pass it over to Phil, and then Phil pass it back to me, and we'll see if we can put together an order for going through one round, at least here on the Drake West Coast Net. So go ahead, George. W6YUC in the group KW6G.
Okay, Charles, real good. KW6G and the group W6YUC. Very good. Yeah, good signal. Copy of 5 by 9 plus 10. And Steve, you were real loud there from Seattle. W7SJ, I think it was, with the PR781 mic. Anyway, sounding good. Heard K7WOC and Tapio, of course, and Steve and Bill. So I don't know if there's anybody else in here besides Bill, who's going to come up in a moment. I apologize for being late. I had a board meeting tonight on Zoom. I wasn't going to be here at all because I thought we were going to do it in person, but it got changed. So we did it on Zoom, and they just wrapped it up. And I came over here, had the rig warming it up, and came over here and turned up the volume and heard the conditions. A lot of back east stuff coming through, pretty loud, but copied everybody okay. RSK, you had a good signal, Steve. Good to hear you in there tonight. We're on the TR4, plain old TR4. It would have been a B if they would have added a B to it. It came out during that time, during the B line time. And the TR-V4 remote VFO, but I'm not using it right now. for amplifier. So see, we got our one leg of our antenna back up today. Yesterday, I was got up in the morning, looked out the window, and my crank up mast was tilted at an angle about 25 degrees or thereabouts. Really scary. And went out there to see what had happened, and I guess with the wind and all we were having, there was a big bowl that was screwed a clamp into a 4x4. It was clamped to the house for the crank up mast. And it must have been through the wind just to kind of moved it out of there. So I put one that's 3 times as big in there in terms of length, and it's in there real tight. But boy, oh boy, that was I thought I was going to lose an antenna there. I had to get it straightened up before I took off yesterday for LA and anchored with some cabling. And so today I decided to fix it. I haven't cranked the antenna back up because there's still some more wind coming. So I just left well enough alone. But got it all repaired. And it's the mast there where my this particular 80-meter antenna ties to. So got that up, not up as high as usual, but it's there. Anyway, that's what's going on using a Electro Voice 664 microphone tonight. With that, let me give it over to my good friend Phil, and he can send it back to you there, Charles. W6WHK, W6YEC.
November 6, Whiskey Hotel Kilo. Thank you, George. W6YEC. And KW6G, you will. I'm sorry I'm a little bit late getting in here. I had a neighbor over here. He was having a problem with one of his firearms, and since I've been through a little schooling, I was worked on it, got it working. It's right back to factory specs, so I'm happy with that, but that put me late getting in here. As a matter of fact, I just turned the rig on when I heard George call, so it had been warming up, but the audio was turned down. Anyway, we're running the Swan 350 Delta with a crazy digital readout, which is reading right now 988. It never reads the same 2 days in a row. Thank goodness that I do have a frequency counter attached to it so I can read where I'm at, or else I'd really be in a pickle. And we're running a Yaesu microphone tonight on it. I have a 444 in this one, and for some reason, that's the one I grabbed. Anyway, with that, let's turn it back to the net control. KW6G, back to you, sir. N6WHK.
N6WHK, KW6G, very good, Phil. Nice signal. Good audio this evening, so what you got there is working just fine. Okay, so let's go one more round here, gentlemen. It's getting about 7:35. I think we got enough time to get everybody in here for one more round, and I'll give you the order because we've kind of been using a shotgun approach this evening because other people have been checking in at different times. So, in order of appearance, this is what I have this evening. We'll start off with Tapio at Ellensburg, Washington, KS7TY, and over to Steve, W6RXK in San Andreas, and then Steve to Bill, K6LK in Kelseyville, California. And then Bill send it over to Bob, KA7WOC, Whidbey Island, Washington. And then Bob, you could send it over to your neighbor, Steve, KW7SJ. I'm hoping you're copying this, but if he's not, maybe Bill can pass it along. And then Steve over to George, W6YEC down in Lemon Grove, California. That's near San Diego. And then George, give it to Phil, F6WHK, and then Phil back to me, and we'll put the ribbons on it. It'll be about that time. So go ahead, Tapio, and any relays to help out KA7WOC be appreciated along the way here. So go ahead, Tapio, KF7TY is KW6G.
Real fine there, Charles. You bet. And KW6G, KF7TY here, Ellensburg, Washington, where it's now 16 degrees. 16 degrees and dropping. It's going to be another cold one tomorrow at work. Like I said, we got down to 3 today up at the wind farm. Had about a 15-20 mile an hour wind, and yeah, the wind chill was just horrible. But that's the way it is. It'll warm up this weekend, and tomorrow's Friday, and that's okay. Payday, too, so that even makes it better. But anyway, nice net, and everybody's really coming in well. Steve made some comments, and there he's got TR4C, L4B. Sounds great. Going to get some snow down there. And good on the DX there, Charles. Yeah, I hope to work some this weekend. And propagation is good. Nice to hear Bill in there, and Bob, and great signal from Whidbey Island there. Steve, like I said, the 890, it's booming in over here in Ellensburg. I'm running 1,000 watts out here out of a Drake station, TR4CWL4B, and nice to hear George and Phil. Fantastic signal up here. Well, let's see. It's getting to be, what is it? It's the last weekend of February already, too. So, yeah, these last 2 months have really flown by. But, no, other than that, I'm going to do some ham radio. No antenna work, that's for sure, not even up here. Going to have to wait till springtime. And it's just too cold for that. So it'll be a good weekend to do some hamming, have some fun, maybe check in on the Collins net, maybe the Swan net too, and then maybe work some DX. So that's what we got going on. But so I'm going to send it down to Steve, where it's not his fault, but I suppose if it happens, we can blame him. But down in San Andreas, W6RXK, KF7TY.
Okay, very good, Tapio, up there in Ellensburg, Washington, and 3 degrees. I can't even imagine what that would be. I've been coddled all my life with warm weather here in California, so I wouldn't know what 3 degrees is like. But anyway, stay warm, and we'll get snow, but still it doesn't get really into the 20s. Anyway, yeah, good signals from George down there in Lemon Grove, and Phil in La Mesa for sure. Good to hear you two down there checking into the Swan or the Drake net, and Bill there too. Let's see, Steve there in Seattle. Seattle Steve sounds real good, of course. And I do have relatives up there in Snohomish. So I love that Seattle area. It's nice. And, of course, up there in Whidbey Island. So everybody's good. So anyway, I will, let's see, I was going to say March 18th. March 18th is coming pretty fast. That's our first SWAT meet here in Northern California. It's going to be over in Loomis, which is pretty close to Sacramento. So hopefully that'll be a good turnout for both buyers and sellers. So we'll probably see Bill over there for sure, like we did last year. Okay, over to the Swan Junkie, K6LK. Bill, this is W6RXK.
Yeah, okay, Steve, W6RXK, K6LK returning. Yeah, I plan to be there. I'll have the radio flyer wagon. That's how you can identify the Swan Junkie. And, of course, it'll be filled up with swans if I can even find them there. Gosh, I think most people, these Swan transceivers, they're hard to come by these days. I know there's a lot of 350s and 500s out there, but the monobanders, I don't know. I used to see them at Henry Radio behind the counter there, but they're not around anymore. I don't know. Maybe they ended up being wheel chucks or something for trucks, or maybe they just got thrown away. I don't know. Anyway, I was going to say, Charles, I saw my first TR3 about the same time I bought the Swan 240, and I got to tell you, that was a pretty looking radio for its day. A few years back, I had a chance to pick up one, and it had the remote VFO with the power supply. So, $25, $30 for all of it, I figured. Yeah, it probably doesn't work, and indeed it didn't when I got it home. But I started shaking the tubes around, and all of a sudden it came to life. So there you go. So some of that older stuff is kind of corroded around the tube pin. You have to sort of shake it down sometimes. But anyway, that was a fun thing to do, and I guess that was a few years back. Charles, I was going to say that Loomis swap meet, it's not too far above Sacramento, and you're down in Clayton, and you have a house in Grass Valley. You might want to consider staying at Grass Valley, then dropping over there to Loomis. That would be a good shot for you, the Loomis train station in Loomis. Yeah, good swap. Of course, the Lincoln swap, that's always towards the end of the year, and that's guaranteed to be a good one. I highly recommend that one, too. And again, Charles, that could be a good location for you to check out also. Anyway, let's see. I'm looking at the list, and it goes up to Washington. So I'll abide by the net control and call this my 73 round, and see you all on the Swan net on Saturday. A7WOC, K6LK.
And K6 little green light.
K6LK,
Santa Monica.
KA7WOC.
Put you in the list,
100% copy up here. Unfortunately, I no longer own any Swan gear. I started out with the 350. That was my first real power rig. But it went aside. It went away. I traded it off, got something else. And I've seen, over the years, I've seen the Swan monobanders around. In fact, I had a friend here on the island that had 2 or 3 of those things. He really liked them. But they're long gone, too. In fact, he kind of got rid of most of his ham gear. A lot of it ended up in my shack, but there were no Swans to pick up. And, well, the next big project for me is relocating some of the radios in the shack here. The C line I'm running now, I'm going to move over to the other side of the shack where my call-in stuff is. It's more of my 75-meter working location. This is more of 20 meters on this side of the shack, 20 and up. But I'm going to move this rig over there, seeing as how I can get weekly use out of the Drake stuff now. I'm glad I stumbled into this group here, because I started collecting Drake stuff way back when, or that was my choice as opposed to the Collins stuff. I had to be different, so I always had Drake stuff. And I had the TR7, which I've passed on. I think this is my 3rd C line I've had, and then I've got the R4A T4X here as well, and had a lot of opportunity to have other Drake stuff over the years, but I just don't have any more room in the shack here. In fact, to make this stuff move, I've got to take my Harvey Wells Bandmaster and receiver, move those off somewhere so I can move this stuff around. It's constantly moving stuff. You got to move 10 things to be able to move one thing. That's how my shack is. It's overloaded. And swap meets, yeah, we've got a big one coming up. It's our Puyallup swap, biggest one in the Northwest here. But I'm not going to go this year. I just have too much stuff already. Stuff I can't get rid of. I wish I could, but it's just, it doesn't want to leave the shack for some reason. You know, and if there's something shiny, then it's going to come into the shack. So I think I'm going to miss that one. But we have another one coming up in May that I'll probably get a couple tables and try to pass off some of my junk. I always buy high and sell low. And I send it to Steve here, so 73 all, good hearing you. W7FJ, KA7WOC, and sorry about the hum. We'll look at that.
Fine business, thanks. I sure enjoy this. I have a story real quick, and then I need to leave for dinner about Swan stuff. So I was licensed in 1984 in Miami, Florida. Was born and raised in Pittsburgh. Westinghouse shipped me to Miami to work on the Metro Rail, and I was licensed as N4MRN. Very active in the 2-meter segment and HF, you know. And we used to have coffee meets and all that. And one of the people that I met that really took a liking to me was this older gentleman. And he was a doctor, just a kind of a neat-nick, preppy type doctors like doctors do, you know. And he pulled me aside and says, Steve, I have this Swan radio that I don't use very much, and you are obviously electronics buff, and I want you to take this radio and give it an alignment, just give it a check. I don't use it often enough, make sure it works. And I said, well, I don't know anything about it, but I'll take it and check it out. And he said, gave me his address, went over to his house, his doctor's house, and it was pristine in a real ritzy area of Miami. And this thing had a clear visqueen cover over it. I think it came from Swan. I picked it up, and he just said, be careful, don't scratch it. And I said, oh, I was so damn nervous. Took it home, put it on the scope, and the damn radio didn't need anything. I think it put out 150 watts. I put that on the air with my 14 AVQ. Instantly, I worked Germany on CW, Venezuela. I was a kid in the candy store. A couple weeks later, he said, how's it going? I said, man, I said, Doc, this radio is perfect. It doesn't need anything. And I asked him if he wanted to sell it, and he says, no, it's just part of the doctor's office. And I just had a liking to that. That Vernier dial was so smooth, and that's my Swan story. And with that, thank you, gentlemen. I am definitely going to rejoin your group here. Here is Whiskey 7 Sierra Juliet. Back to, I think it's George, right? KW6 call, W7SJ.
You got the name right, but the call wrong. Okay, Steve, we're looking forward to seeing you again. W7SJ, KW6T. Thanks for stopping by. I'm going to pass it down to George, W6YEC. From George, it goes to Phil, N6WHK, and then Phil, pass it up to Skip, who just checked in, K6LTO. And I think this is going to be the last round here, gentlemen, this evening. So thank you all. Go ahead, George, W6YEC, KW6T.
Yeah, okay, real good, Charles. W6YEC. Well, good night to Steve there. Nice to meet you tonight from Seattle. And we'll probably catch you next week if we're on. Most of the time we are, unless something comes up. Anyway, big signal out of Seattle there, Steve, down here to Lemon Grove, right near the border of Mexico. We're not too far from the border, about 17 miles or something like that, maybe less. Anyway, and everybody's doing a good job here this evening. And that was a cool story, Steve, on that Swan from the doctor. I like that. Anyway, we don't have too much more to offer here, Phil. Sorry, the digital's not doing its job tonight. Must be the cold weather. I don't know. Anyway, but at least you got you know where you are on the frequency. Sounds good. And I wonder if you got any DXing in today with the TH7 up there. Anyway, that's it. I don't have much more to offer. Certainly was glad to be able to check in, and things have gotten pretty busy. I was gone yesterday, left at 9 and didn't get home till midnight. Up at the Rose Bowl. I've never been there before, but we did a gathering there. Steve, you might be interested there, just to hear this at RSK. But anyway, we do something every year called 40 Days of Hope, and we're combined it with another initiative, Hope California. And so we had leaders from all over California meet us there in Pasadena, and that are helping this initiative in the different places up and down the state. So over 100, probably 120 leaders, something like that, from the different cities. And then we had several thousand last night there at the Rose Bowl for worship and prayer and all of that for California. It was absolutely incredible. A lot of young people and a lot of focus on Gen Z and what have you, but and also included Baja in what we're doing. It was pretty amazing. Anyway, left here at 9 and got home at midnight, and it was cold up there. Sitting there in the Rose Bowl. I've never been in the Rose Bowl before, and it was just cold. 40-some degrees out there. Dressed warm, but it wasn't enough. I don't know how we would have done better. Anyway, sure felt it in the bones on the way home. 7 degrees, everybody. Thanks there, Charles, for letting us come in. Hello to you, Skip. Heard your big signal, nice sounding signal. So let me give it over to Phil, and he can give it over to you, Skip, as this thing gets wrapped up. 7 degrees, one and all. N6, I said W. I don't know why I wrote down W6. I know better. N6 WHK. Take it away, W6YEC.
Okay, Jordan, W6YEC and 6WHK. Well, I wish I could have got in here sooner, but I was helping a neighbor fix one of his firearms, and I got involved and forgot the time, and it dawned on me. I told him I had to get on the radio, so he left, but his gun works, so there you go on that. Anyhow, we kind of been playing around here all day today. It's been raining off and on, so I basically cabined up and made a cabin day out of it. I didn't get out other than to take the dog out, let it do its thing, and I did get on HF a little bit. I worked Cuba, what station down there, and a couple other stations, but mostly it was stateside, a few mountaintops, and I just happened to hear them on, so I worked them, and mostly on 10 meters. I've been playing with that lately since the band's been in great conditions. Well, not great conditions, but good conditions compared to what it was. Hopefully it just keeps getting better and it'll be more fun, and we can start working more of the world. I guess there was a slower flare or something last night or earlier this morning, which kind of shut things down. Anyway, with that, I'm going to turn it on over to Mr. Skip. Nice hearing you in there, Skip. K6LGL, it's all yours, my friend. 7-3 to the group, November 6th, Whiskey Hotel Kilo.
Okay, Phil, thank you very much. And 6WHK and the Drake Group, K6LGL. Charles, thanks for doing Drake. John, there's good signal from Seattle here into Santa Monica by the Bay, and this is Skip and K6LGL. Okay, not too much for me. Glad to hear activity. Sometimes I can get here on time, sometimes it doesn't work out, but so it goes. The important thing is that activity goes on, and I like to be a part of it. So 73s, everybody, and hey, enjoy Cycle 25. As long as the sunspots keep climbing there, well over 100, there's going to be usable MUF below 40 megahertz, so that's the important thing. So good night, everybody, and thank you, Charles. I'll pass it back to you. And you say 73
trees for the rest of us. K6LGL.
K6LG on the group, KW6G. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for checking in once again. Your continued interest and appreciation and participation is always appreciated. And we'll be back here again next week at about 7 o'clock for another edition of the Drake West Coast Net. 73s, everyone. Have a safe week in the storm conditions that most of the West Coast is experiencing right now. Stay warm. It's going to be a cold one. It's going to get warm again, though. But we have rain forecast down here in the Bay Area all next week. So hopefully it's going to turn into something that's very measurable and meaningful. But we'll see how that goes. Anyway, everybody take care. 73s. And Skip, don't worry about being late. It's no problem whatsoever. I was here and took the net, and it's no problem. It's part of what I do. Anyways, take care, everybody. And we'll see you next week. 73s all, and welcome to Steve W7SJ there up in Seattle. Hope you can join us again, Steve. It's nice talking to you. Take care, everybody. 73s. Have a very good evening. We'll close the net now and return the frequency to normal amateur use, whatever that means. This is KW6G. We're going to be